Everyone, I want to first thank you for braving the rain and the wind and the weather to make it into City Hall. On behalf of Mayor London Breed and Chief Bill Scott, I almost combined the two. I would like to welcome you to our quarterly Officer of the Month ceremony, as we have the privilege to honor some of our police officers for the heroic work that they do, for the very thorough work that they do, and for the very just fantastic work, as you're about to hear, done in our communities. This quarter, we're focusing more on the avenues and on the west side, Richmond Station, Ingleside, Park Station, and Tervol Station. You're going to hear some great stories about officers who captured burglars and dealt with retail theft and conducted thorough narcotics investigations. And just really, it's a sampling of the great work that our police officers do each and every day. So we're really excited to have everyone here. I want to acknowledge some folks before we get started. Again, thank you very much, Mayor Breed, for all your support of our department. I think there's no one more than you going out to all the stations, no one else in this city thanking our officers, supporting our officers, and really being on the ground with them. And so we all realize it and see it, and we thank you. Thank you, Chief Scott, for your leadership and really promoting the importance of really acknowledging our officers. Thank you. I want to recognize some of our elected officials that are here today. Thank you, Supervisor Chan and Supervisor Mendelman, for coming here today, spending time to acknowledge the officers. And Supervisor Engardio, thank you very much. To our police commissioners, Benedicto, Commissioner Walker, Commissioner Yee, thank you always for your support. I want to thank some of our sponsors. Well, first, thank you, Martha Cohen from the Mayor's Office, who always makes sure everything is perfect. Thank you, Acting Commander Para from the Community Engagement Division. I'm grateful for our command staff all being here today to support the officers. I want to thank the sponsors because the community is really behind everything that we do. The partnership with the community, the relationships that we build to address crime and to prevent crime. And really, every time we have a ceremony, we see people added to this list, sponsoring the food, just sponsoring this event overall, the plaques. So starting with BXP, our retired Chief of Police, Greg Sir, thank you very much. A retired Deputy Chief John Loftus, and then also from BXP, Bob Peaster, Steve Coleman, and Ron Deal. And then this whole other list, the Hyatt Regency of San Francisco, the Police Officers Association, the Hearst Corporation, McCall's Catering and Events, the Decker Electric, GCI, HOK, Metro Services, Paganini Electric, Peacock, Platinum, Rubin, Junius and Rose LLP, the Bay Area Host Committee, JMA, Parks Hotel Group, the Hilton Hotel, I'm almost done, BOMA, the Hotel Council, the Union Square Alliance, and Neighbors for a Better San Francisco. So the list keeps growing of partners and those entities that want to support the San Francisco Police Department, and for that, we are truly grateful. All right, today, before I call up Mayor Breed, I also want to thank the families that are here today. We have such a large group of family that are here bringing flowers and bringing gifts, and yes, a round of applause for our families. The officers cannot do this work without you, and the fact that you're here today is so meaningful. So thank you very much. Congratulations to the honorees. We're about to hear your great work, so we're going to get ready. So before we call up Mayor Breed, I just want to remind myself, before I forget, the officers today will receive a beautiful glass plaque. Thank you, BXP and Chief Cern, for all your ideas on that. A one-night stay at the Hyatt Regency Hotel, and a $500 check. So congratulations on all of your work. All right. And with that, I'd like to call up Mayor London Breed. Thank you, Mayor Breed.
Thank you, Deputy Chief Lazar. And I want to say this might be one of the biggest crowds that we have had since we reinstituted this new program. I remember talking to former Chief Greg Sir about an idea to do more to support the San Francisco Police Department with all the work that they're doing here in San Francisco. And we've definitely had a really difficult time, and I know in particular law enforcement has struggled not just in San Francisco but throughout the country. It was important for me, with everything that we have been doing here in San Francisco to increase public safety, that this department understood the critical role that they played, but also how valuable it is. How we realize that it's a real sacrifice to serve here and to put your life on the line every day that you show up to work, despite all the confusion in policies and procedures, despite the oftentimes information that is not always accurate and very unclear that you receive. You are still rolling up your sleeves, you're still getting the job done. And these stories, these examples of these particular officers really highlight the importance of making sure that we as elected leaders understand the complexities of what they deal with, so that we as policymakers are making better decisions so that they can go out and do these jobs and be safe themselves. And today represents an opportunity for us to highlight and showcase this work. So I again really want to thank the police department, Bill Scott and Deputy Chief David Lazar, for picking up the mantle and digging deep in the various stations and identifying these stories that really highlight some of the great work that's happening in San Francisco. Now, I know, again, that San Francisco has had a very difficult time, and oftentimes people have, pointed the finger at San Francisco, showing videos that have gone viral, even in incidents that weren't even happening in this city. But despite all of that, the work is getting done, and the numbers are reflecting that work. Just this past year, we've seen a significant reduction in crime in San Francisco, both violent crime and crime overall. When we released the numbers for 2023 in comparison to 2022, it was significant. And what I want to do is significant in the sense that it was one of the lowest crime rates that San Francisco has seen, minus the pandemic year, one of the lowest in the past 10 years. And that is directly attributed to the men and the women of the San Francisco Police Department. So as I said, we have so much more work to do, but we are excited over the fact that we are still getting the job done. And so the stories that you hear today are going to just give you just a bit of an example of what they do to ensure that San Francisco is a safe place for each and every one of us. I was so excited to see in the various bios of the folks who are honoring today, folks who have grown up in San Francisco, people who have grown up in the Mission, in the Tenderloin community, folks who became police officers because they wanted to serve and protect neighborhoods throughout San Francisco. And I want to also express my appreciation for the family members of the people we are honoring today, and all of the family members of those who are serving and protecting the people of San Francisco. We appreciate your understanding, your patience, and your prayers for the men and women who continue to go out in the streets of San Francisco and sacrifice their lives to ensure that we are all safe. So it's great to see this crowd continue to grow. Because when we first started this program earlier last year, we had a smaller number, and now it's become a bigger event, and we're welcoming members of the Board of Supervisors. So the fact that so many people want to be here to honor the work that you have done is truly commendable, and I want you to be able to take what happens today and carry that with you every single day that you do this job. I know that so many of our officers get beat up. I know that politics has unfairly played a role in the decisions that get made that put you sometimes in the not so great situations. But I appreciate what you have done, how you continue to sacrifice, and how you hold your heads up high when you're out there every single day doing your job. It's so important to always remember why you're here. And moments like this just remind us of the significance of the sacrifice, of what could have happened instead of what did happen in each of these individual cases that delivered justice for the crimes that were committed in San Francisco. We appreciate you, and we're so grateful to be here to honor you here at City Hall today. So thank you again to all the men and women who are joining us of the San Francisco Police Department, and thank you to each and every one of the family members and others who have joined us. Let's just not take moments like this to recognize and appreciate the department, but let's make sure that when we see officers out on the streets, that they know we appreciate the work that they do, the sacrifice they make, and how they are committed to public safety here in San Francisco. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Mayor Breed, for your continued support. At this time, I'd like to invite up our Chief of Police, Bill Scott.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Mayor Breed. So today we are acknowledging the San Francisco police officers for the work that they've done. And I don't want to repeat all the people that were named in terms of thanking everybody that's here today, but I will say we truly, truly appreciate your support and appreciate your being here. Now, I'm going to piggyback on Mayor Breed's comments, and let me start with thanking her again. But she highlighted some key things for us. This city has always been known for resiliency. We came back after the 1906 earthquake. We came back after the earthquake in the 90s or the 80s. We came back after the AIDS pandemic. We were the first city that really clamped down on COVID. And over again, we come back. We came back from 17 points down against the Lions this weekend to go to the Super Bowl. So in that spirit, yeah, that's worth a round of applause. So in that spirit, it's really about the people who commit to coming back time and time again. And the officers that we are honoring today are those type of people. You know, this city is taking some knocks, but we constantly will fight and we will come back. And it's not because of what we say, it's because of what we do. And the work that you all have done is an example of what fighting and coming back is. I'm going to read you just a snapshot of what you'll hear from the commanding officers. But Officer Dustin Coldclaw, who conducted an extensive investigation on the proprietors of a liquor store who were selling illegal narcotics in the community. And we know how much narcotics hurts our city, and through his diligence, it led to the arrest of 2 individuals and shut down the sales of a narcotics market that were negatively impacting the community. I also want to thank Sergeant Ricky Guerrero. And Ricky is one of probably the best UCs that we have in the city, and that is a true fact. Sergeant Guerrero and Sergeant Tri Hong, who caught 8 individuals attempting to run out of a local store with an armload of stolen goods. This is the type of work that changes not only the game, but changes the narrative. Because people look at us and say, what are you doing about it? People look at us and say, when are you going to stop it? People look at us and say, when are you going to put an end to it? This is how we put an end to it. This type of work matters. And Ricky and Tree, not only are you doing the work, but you're also leading the work, because both of these fine officers are sergeants. And they are not only doing the work, but they're teaching others how to do it. So long after their time is over, it feeds the next generation of officers to continue this fight that I'm talking about. Officer Howard Brown, who responded to a burglary in progress, conducted a thorough investigation and built a strong rapport with the victim. He acted as a model officer. It's another thing, our victims. What do we do for our victims? People's lives get turned upside down. And sometimes when we see this day and day again, we forget what that feels like. Officer Brown did not forget. And because he built rapport and because he cared, this victim was made as whole as we can make a victim who has been, had a crime committed against him. And lastly, Officer Norman Bobia and Officer Brian Austin, who interrupted a burglary in progress, chased and arrested the suspect, and then their diligence has ensured the community that they patrol is safer, because burglaries have ravaged this particular community. So this is the work that we have to do. This is the work that we have to continue to do. And again, this city is all about resilience. This city is all about fighting. And because of your work, it puts us on that path to not only change the game, but to change the narrative. So thank you very, very much. And lastly, I know you'll hear from the commanding officers in a second. I just want to reiterate what Assistant Chief Lazar said to the families here. I know you don't get to hear these stories every day because the officers and the sergeants, they probably don't come home talking about this stuff. But when you hear the work that they have done, I hope you are as proud of them as we are, because we know that they could not do this work without your support, without your love, and without you all putting up with what we do, missing the birthday parties and missing the events and having to work 14 straight days because of APEC. We can't do it without your support. So thank you again, and back to Chief Lazar. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chief Scott. I would now like to call up Captain Brian Hu, who's the commanding officer of Tervol Station, and as a resident of the Tervol, I thank you, Brian, for everything you do. And Officer Klokal, if you can come up and stand right here next to your captain, and he'll read your award. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to thank the family for Dustin Colclaw. I'm the captain that makes your husband come in late, spend the extra hours and missing days and changing his hours. Dustin Colclaw is a member of our Tervol neighborhood team, a plainclothes unit that focuses on organized retail theft, burglaries, robberies, and whatnot. So I'm going to read the story about what he accomplished for our district, making our citizens and people that reside in the Tervol district. So once again, I thank you for the family for coming here and showing your support. So thank you. My name is Brian Hu. I'm the captain of Tervol Station. This incident happened on October 4th, 2023 in the Lakeview Ocean Avenue corridor. This is about an extensive narcotics investigation and arrest. The above-mentioned investigation originated from a citizen complaint that was directed to me at Tervol Police Station. A resident of the Lakeview area alleged that an owner of a liquor store, Home Run Liquors, was selling illegal narcotics from the store premise, and that said sales have negatively impacted the community and its safety. I directed the members of the Tervol neighborhood team to investigate the allegation. Under the direction of Sergeant Kermonsky, Officer Colclaw was designated as the lead investigator for this incident. Officer Colclaw subsequently coordinated surveillance operations spanning several days on the establishment and created an extensive intelligence packet pertaining to the business. Simultaneously, Officer Colclaw displayed exceptional community policing principles by constantly communicating with the citizen who made the complaint. Throughout the process, Officer Colclaw noticed suspicious activity and began an extensive chronological investigation. He coordinated undercover narcotics buy operations, which successfully showed that the owner and employees of the liquor store were engaging in illegal sales of narcotics during the business hours of the establishment. He prepared, organized, and managed a search warrant operation on the establishment, which resulted in the arrest of 2 individuals linked to the business. Among the evidence for the narcotics case, officers assigned to the operation located a firearm inside the presence. In the commission of the search warrant, Officer Colclaw noticed numerous safety violations inside the premise and coordinated with the fire department, permit office, and the building planning department to successfully flag the dangerous conditions of this establishment. He should be commended for this prolonged investigation, as he was able to successfully stop the sales of illegal narcotics that negatively affected the community and its safety. Moreover, Officer Colclaw showed exceptionally community policing skills and was able to build a lasting relationship with the citizens that brought the complaint to the police department. Thank you.
Mayor Breed, if you could come up, and Chief Scott. And for his efforts, you're awarding him this plaque, or this award here. One more. Yeah, all right. All right, congratulations. Next, I would like to call up Captain Amy Hurwitz, Commanding Officer of Ingleside Station. We thank Captain Hurwitz for a great job in the Ingleside, and with her, the awardees, Sergeant Guerrero and Sergeant Hong. If you can come up, please.
All right, Mayor, thank you so much. This is tremendous, and you've been a great supporter, so thank you. So I want to talk to you about Sergeant Ricky Guerrero and Sergeant Tree Hung. I love them. My officers always think it's crazy when I say that I love them, but I really love them. They are outstanding officers, and they are exactly what the city needs, and they do exactly what the city has asked of them. So I have this 17-page script. I'm just kidding, it's only 2, and it's in really small print, so I'm not gonna read it. I know how much there's children, I know how much they love read speeches, but they have done a fantastic job. And what we are here to talk about is retail theft and what we're gonna do about it and what we're gonna do to keep our communities vibrant and thriving. And the way we do that is we ensure that our commercial establishments stay. And these 2 sergeants recognize the need for commercial businesses to remain in our district. They also understand it needs to remain in the city, which is why they have trained other officers and sergeants in the San Francisco Police Department in their method. So what do they do that is so fantastic? Well, they have gone into big stores like Safeway, Walgreens, CVS. They've gone into smaller local stores. They've talked to their security people. They've talked to the store owners to find out what the problems are, and they address it. So they are in these stores doing plainclothes operations and uniform operations. They were in a Walgreens one day when 8 people ran into the store and just started grabbing everything off the shelf, just like we've seen on the news 100 times. They were there, they took action, they arrested them. It was brilliant. And that's not the only time they've done it. So they have trained other officers. They have a crew of dedicated officers and sergeants that work with them. They go around to other district stations, and they're making a difference. Per Safeway and Walgreens National Security, their incidents in the Ingleside are dropping. And they're making such significant progress that sometimes when they do these operations, they don't get anyone. And that's what we want. So really, again, you 2 are brilliant, and I couldn't ask for better human beings or better sergeants, so thank you. And they were my Sergeants of the Year, and you deserve this award more than anyone else.
Here you go. You're going to give it to them. Please. Good job, Amy.
All right.
That was beautiful. Next, I'd like to call up Acting Captain Jennifer Durantes from Park Station. Jen, thank you for the work you're doing and making sure that Haight Street has a lot of officers present. So thank you for that. And with that, if we have Officer Brown come up and receive your award.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I apologize for Captain Hart not being here. He's on a plane right now, so he's very exuberant and he's a great speaker, and you get me now. But we're not here about me, we're here about Officer Brown. As Chief Lazar said, I'm Lieutenant Jennifer Durantes, and I'm assigned to Park Station as the Day Watch Platoon Commander. And I'm here to proudly recognize Park Station's Officer Howard Brown as Officer of the Month for December 2023. On December 4th, 2023, Officer Brown was working a high-visibility auto burglary abatement assignment in the Twin Peaks area. This area is a hotspot for auto booths and residential burglaries. A call for service was broadcast of a residential burglary in progress on the unit block of St. Germain Street. This location was not far from where Officer Brown's assignment was. Upon his arrival, the suspect had fled prior to his arrival, but Officer Brown quickly responded and started to conduct his investigation. Once on scene, Officer Brown conducted numerous interviews, secured security camera footage, organized a forensic response from CSI, and coordinated the transmission of photographic and video evidence, which depicted the suspect and her distinctive getaway vehicle. Because of Officer Brown's thoroughness of this investigation, the suspect was arrested within hours across town, and felony charges were rebooked by the District Attorney's Office. Over the course of 8 hours, Officer Brown, gathering of this information, and with the same determination of our finest investigators, was able to put together a strong case. Not only did Officer Brown interview and re-interview multiple parties, both within and outside the initial and supplemental police reports, but he built such a strong rapport and trust that he empowered the victim and key witnesses to attend the preliminary hearing in person themselves. And as a result, the suspect was held to answer on all charges by the Superior Court judge. These actions represent only a fraction of what Officer Brown has accomplished in 2023. As Officer Brown received Park Station Sergeant Brian McDonald Officer of the Year Award, Officer Brown's dedication to duty is unparalleled and unmatched. Additionally, Officer Brown has received numerous compliments, commendations from his co-workers, supervisors, superiors, and the community members and merchants that he serves. Officer Brown is tenacious when it comes to investigation. He is empathetic and compassionate to those he encounters, and is a co-worker who is always there as backup or willing to lend a helping hand. And on a final note, he stressed me out a little bit today, because an hour and a half prior to the ceremony, Officer Brown responded to a call of a burglary in progress in the Belgrave Avenue area. Officer Brown and his partner were able to apprehend the suspect, and this is just another example of Officer Brown's dedication and tenacity to the community that he serves.
Oh, go ahead, get in. Oh, no, you're.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Acting Captain Durantes. And for our last awardees, I'd like to call up Captain Chris Canning, Commanding Officer of Richmond Station, along with Officers Bobia and Austin. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Canning. I am the Captain and Commanding Officer of Richmond Station, and it is my pleasure to introduce Officer Brian Alston, Officer Norman Bobia. Officer Brian Alston is from New Jersey. He came to San Francisco. We're glad he's here, and he's been a police officer, a second-generation police officer here with us for 6 years. Officer Norman Bobia is a native San Franciscan and has also been a San Francisco police officer for 6 years. It is my honor to be their commanding officer as they work the midnight shift. And for those of you in the audience who don't know, the midnight shift is our overnight shift. It goes from about 9 at night till 7 in the morning. So while all of us are sleeping, officers like Officer Alston and Bobia are keeping us safe. I want to call our attention to their fine efforts in December. A number of incidents. The first one occurred just a few days before Christmas, the early morning hours of December 23rd. Joe's Pharmacy, which is a decades-long institution in the Richmond Police District in the area of 16th and Geary, an audible alarm was triggered. These fine officers responded promptly, found broken glass, and as they made entry, they observed a suspect fleeing. That suspect not only fled out of the building, but into the area of a residential building. These fine officers swiftly apprehended the suspect after a brief foot chase. Not to be outdone by their efforts, but a couple of weeks prior, in the area of the 3000 block of Jackson Street, as well as the 2300 block of Baker Street, they responded to a hot prowl burglary. Now, a hot prowl burglary is what we refer to as a burglary in an occupied residence. Very scary. This is typically what happens when members of our community are sleeping and suspects break in their home to burglarize them. Again, as with the other incident, these fine officers responded promptly, were able to quickly apprehend the suspect, and through a thorough investigation, were able to hold 2 suspects accountable after an arrest. This doesn't just happen in December. About 5 nights ago, in the area of 31st and Balboa, another call for service regarding a burglary of one of our commercial establishments in the Richmond. These fine officers and their colleagues promptly responded. Were able to make multiple arrests that included an attempted burglary of a business as well as the possession of a stolen vehicle. Officers Bobia and Alston are deserving of their award, and it is my honor, and I am very proud to work for them. And please join me in congratulating them. And for their efforts, we are awarding them these awards.
Great job, Chris. Thank you, Chief. All right, let's give it up one more time for all the awardees and for their families that are here today. On behalf of the San Francisco Police Department, I want to thank everyone for attending today's very special ceremony. Thank you again, Mayor Breed, Chief Scott, the police commissioners, and our elected officials and our sponsors. Well, this concludes the ceremony, but it doesn't conclude the celebration. I'm hoping that you'll get to mix and mingle with some of the awardees and enjoy the refreshments. But before we do, and before everyone stands up, what I'd like to ask if the mayor and Chief Scott and the commissioners and the awardees can first leave and head over to the photo area for a quick photo before the rest of us depart. And again, thank you. Stay safe, stay dry, and go Niners. Thank you.